Hey, here is another video, and this video is about how to improve your readbacks as a court reporter. So like when you're in a depo and they ask you to read back, or if you're in court and they ask you to read back. But really, I'm really going to focus in on just deposition, reading back in depositions. So in order to have better readbacks, it requires better real time. And the reason is that you never know when they're going to ask you to read back. So number one tip is assume that they're always going to have you read back. Just assume no matter what the question or the answer is, they're going to have you read back. But just this simple trick will help you write better and stay alert, because there's like no worse feeling than not being able to read back something properly. Like, I would say that's probably the worst feeling you could ever feel in a deposition. The second feeling that's like right before that is just knowing you're not getting it. But at least when you know you're not getting it, you're the only person who knows. But once you like stumble on that read back, now everybody knows. And it's just like, it's like the worst feeling. Like your body will feel like just overheated, and it's just really like, it's bad and it's embarrassing. And we really want to try to avoid that. Okay? So I know that you've been in a job before and they asked you to read back, and that first time that they asked you to read back, once they asked you, then after, your writing is just improved, because now you know that they may test you again. And I use the word test because I've told some attorneys, I said, if you want to make sure your court reporter is writing the best that she can, ask her to read back something within the first 5 minutes. And I know it works because I've talked to other court reporters about it, and we just do better once we know that someone is really going to listen to us. So in order to be able to actually get everything, you have to, I have several tips, but one of them is obviously you have to practice. You really, really need to practice so that you can work on any problems that you have in your dictionary, or with your speed or with your writing, eliminate any type of hesitation. But once you start practicing, that actually gives you the confidence you need to speak up. So there are times where a job may feel hard, but you don't realize that it's actually a hard job. You think that, oh, okay, maybe I'm just not good enough, or maybe I'm just not fast enough, or maybe I just don't, whatever, okay? Like, you make excuses for yourself. But the one sure thing is, when you are practicing consistently, then like you'll have this type of confidence about yourself where you're like, if I can't get it, that means no other court reporter can get it. So when you have that type of confidence, you can tell the witness or the speaker to slow down or to speak up or whatever you need them to do. Another thing to help build your confidence in asking people to slow down and whatnot is actually practicing the instructions you'll give in front of the mirror or on your way to work or just in your mind. But that way you'll have a better idea of how to say it and it will come across properly. Another trick is to really learn your software. So the key part of learning your software is really editing on the fly. So if you make any types of errors, you can just really fix them really fast. So that way, if you're asked to read back from a page ago or from wherever, your real-time feed is as clean as possible. Every software has these types of functionalities or features. So it's up to you to learn what your software can do. Another thing is add untranslates to your dictionary. So on the job and when you're away from the job, because if it came up in one job, it's probably going to come up in another job. So you need to be working on your dictionary to always have it translate things properly. So when you're reading back, it's easy for you to see what that word is. Sometimes if you have dictionary issues or word boundary issues, parts of words may attach to a part that doesn't belong to attach to, or like for instance, there's one thing like PT could be point for some people, but it could be president to some other people. So if you don't know that and now you have PT attached, a period just attached, it just like you're thrown off. So definitely make sure that when you're scoping your work, that you're also adding words to your dictionary. That's really going to help you with your readback. Another thing is job defines. So when you're on the job, be sure to, if there's words that are, especially if they're tripping you up or if they're just really unique to the case, define those words. That way you can easily, your real-time feed is cleaner, and that way it's easier for you to read back from your real-time feed. The other thing is use breaks effectively, meaning when you're on a break, I know it's like really easy to just want to like text on your phone and stuff or whatever, but it's really, since you're paid to be there, it's really good to just work on your transcript. So when you're on break time, go through all your untranslates. And another thing too is one time that you could really assume that they're going to ask you to read back is once they get back from a break. So always assume that they're going to ask you to read back once you get back from that break. So whatever you need to do, I recommend doing like, if you checking the last five questions really at the most, but really like the last 2 or 3 questions so that you can read it back to the attorney. And if you want to gain favor with the attorney, or I think to even look a little bit more professional, once they come back into the room, ask, do you need me to read back your last question? You don't have to say it super loud or anything, and some attorneys will say yes, some will say no. I don't really know why. Some of them will say they know where they were, or some of them it may be for strategic purposes. So don't just start reading stuff back. Ask if they need you to read it back. Another thing is, if you're not getting it, and this really goes back to the level of confidence, if you're not getting it, you need to tell the speaker to repeat themselves or to speak up or whatever it is, or to slow down. You have to admonish them. And because you're going to assume, what if they asked you to read back and now you don't have it, okay? Which it happens. And so when that does happen, you have to really just think of a nice, sly way to tell them, hey, I was about to ask you to repeat the question, or something like that. Or I was just about to ask you to repeat, the answer. So those are some tips that will help you with your readbacks. But really, the key thing is too, is you have to be a better writer. You have to be a much better writer, and you have to have a really nice dictionary. And another thing is, when your writing is better, you're going to be able to, those unique words or those difficult words that we don't encounter every day, it'll give you time to build those words. Meaning, if it's some type of medical term, if you're already struggling on words like is, for, because, what are you going to do when they say a medical term? Everything, you're going to just drop everything. So at least make sure that you know the basics, that you could write the basics at like 260 to 280. That way, when the harder stuff comes up, you have more than enough time and energy to do that. So I believe those are all the points that I wanted to share with you. And wait, just actually one more. Another thing that could help you with the J defines or the job dictionary is, before the job starts, is if you actually put in the plaintiff's name and like the style of the case and the name of the speakers, that will also help you identify what needs to be added to your job dictionary and what you need to do for briefing on the fly and stuff like that. And then it'll just help. When you're more familiar with the terms, it's going to be easier to read them back. And if you are interested in improving your writing, definitely I am going to put a link in the description box, but I have 2 speed clinics coming up in LA, and I have one in New York. The New York one only has a few seats left. I think it's like 3 seats or something like that. But it's a really, really great way for you to really I don't want to say improve your writing overnight, but I mean, your writing is going to change. Like within 30 days, you're going to see a huge change in your writing because, like I mentioned, working on the smaller stuff, we're going to work on like the most basic terms that you hear every single day. And I'm going to give you a way that there's no conflicts with your way of writing. I can promise you that. I mean, wait, I did have somebody have one conflict, and it was like for Joelle. Anyway, but real conflicts, no, there's not going to be real conflicts like that. And it's really going to just completely change the way you write. I mean, that I can guarantee. And I also can guarantee that when you leave that third day of the speed clinic, you really will know those 3,000 phrases. And I'll test you on it, and you're going to pass. It's very, very amazing programs, phenomenal. I know there's a lot of people who don't believe it or think that it's impossible to learn 3,000 briefs or phrases in just 12 hours, but I'm going to tell you right now, it is. And when you get there and when you attend, you're going to realize that what I'm saying is like, wow, this is amazing. So that's just a speed clinic plug, but that will definitely help you in a lot of ways with just shortening your writing, and then also with building your level of confidence, and then helping you practice more. Hey, Felicia. So I think that is it, but continue to work on your dictionary and continue to practice, and then you'll be doing great with your readbacks.